going on, guys? Subscription stock video, and got a lot of books this week. I'm also fighting off some type of sickness, so you'll please have to excuse me if I have to take a break to either cough or take a drink, because it's pretty rough on the throat, but I'm going to do what I can here. I might try to break this up into two parts if I can't get it all out, because I think I got 13 books this week, and it's a lot. But as always, organize these from least favorite to most favorite of the week. Although there were no real duds here. But the new Avengers number 32 was my least favorite of the week, because I feel like this is all just worthless. I feel like the storyline is going to be wrapped up in, 2-3 issues, and in all honesty, the only reason I got it was for the Diodato cover. That's 100% the only reason I got it. But we have the story of when the last issue Victoria Hand was possessed, and I can't remember the name of the girl who possessed her, but either way, at the end of the issue, the possessor left her and possessed Miss Marvel. Well, in this issue, Doctor Strange is trying to figure out what happened, and he takes Victoria into the astral realm, the astral plane, and eventually, through a bunch of different things, he finds out that Brother Voodoo is behind it. And while in the astral plane, Brother Voodoo kills Victoria, and as anybody who has ever read or ran into Doctor Strange, if you die in the astral plane, you die in real life. So, that's a killing. And then, outside, somebody uses mental powers to make a cop or a doctor or somebody kill himself. And then, towards the end of this issue, Doctor Strange is being arrested by S.H.I.E.L.D. for the killing. And, I feel like it's worthless. I don't really care anymore. I would have dropped this if it wasn't for the Diodato cover, which I'm super pumped about. And, I have nothing else to say about this book. Action Comics, number 14. Now, I don't really have anything negative to say about this book, other than if they're going to try to continue the first story that was in here, they shouldn't have had the second story in here, because it kind of just tells you that everything's okay to begin with. But in this first story, there's like an emergency signal put out from Mars. Excuse me. And Metalek is building like a city or whatever for a species that doesn't exist anymore. It's like an alien species that sends us out to colonize planets, I guess. Well, Superman goes, destroys all that. Then they hear this strange call, and it's like a choir singing, and Superman says it's the multitude. And the only person that's ever been able to figure out the multitude or prevent the multitude was his dad. If you hear my dog, please excuse me. He's right outside this window, and he's being a real dick today. But he eventually figures out that the multitude, it's not an army. They come in, as you can see on the cover here, as a bunch of angels. But they're not an army. They're one weapon, just with a bunch of different points. He uses a fork as an example. He runs massive current through his own body to send like an electric shock to hit them all at one time, thus, eliminating them. And then it's discovered it's all a scheme by, I'm not even going to try his name, VYNDKTVX. And I feel like he's related to Mixus Pitalik just because of his name, but I have no idea. And then the second story, if they're going to continue it after that, after it shows that it was all a scheme, the next story says, that there were satellites that saw him go to Mars and battle the Metalex. So, they're already saying that he's fine, that he's good. But it tells the story of how Soups goes to this planetarium every 382 days in the hopes of seeing his planet. Now, any of the telescopes or anything they have cannot see 27 light years away. But when you add up all the satellites and all the telescopes and run it through a process of a supercomputer that is Superman's head, he can get an image. And the night that he goes this time is actually 27 years after he landed here, and he can actually see the planet exploding. So it is actually the night Krypton died. So, that was a nice little piece, but, like I said, if they're still going to continue this little arc or whatever next week, or next Action Comics, it's not going to be good, because we already know what's going to happen. He's going to win. Although it is Superman, so we usually know he's going to win. But save that for another day. Clive Barker's Hellraiser, The Road Below, number 1 of 4. This is the storyline where Christy Cotton takes over as head Cenobite. And it's different. It opens up and she's talking to other Cenobites about, you know, she did something wrong. And, you know, it's never really said what that is. But then flash to these two characters, Ray and Cordell Wolf. Two females. R-H-E-A is the Ray, not R-A-Y. And it's you know, we're told that Ray has killed the wife of a man named Joseph Nevercoats, or something along those lines. And I don't know if I'm behind on Hellraiser continuity or if I'm just missing something, but I don't know these people. They seem new to me. But he vows to kill her and her daughter. He says he's already killed the rest of their bloodline. And he says, "You have no power to stop me." Upon hearing that, she runs back to the book/antique store that she works at, gets the puzzle box, some chalk, some candles, and summons, obviously, the priestess of hell now, who is Christy Cotton. And Christy says, "What do you need from me?" And she said, "I'd like to sell my soul for protection." And then Christy says, "You must be thinking of somebody else." And upon trying to leave, she realizes she's in this type of protective circle that keeps her there. So we'll see how that goes. I mean, there wasn't much. I don't know if I missed it in the normal Hellraiser series because I dropped it a while ago because I didn't know what was going on. But Christy Cotton became head Cenobite because Pinhead wanted to get out. So he made a bargain with Christy, said, "I'll give you my power, I just want to get out of hell." He was becoming bored with it. So that's how she became head Cenobite. And I mean, this is just such an interesting story if you're a Hellraiser fan, so I had to go for it. Avengers number 33. Once again, another one of those books that, you know, did the story really matter? Because all this is done anyway. You know, all this is going away, and they're pretty much, I don't want to say relaunching because that's not what they want to call it, but they're starting series is over. So this is ending. It's pretty much it. Excuse me, sorry. Opens up with Lord Guzar, the Minotaur type of man. He has a fight with the Avengers, and he just destroys them. Rips through Thor, Captain America, Iron Man. Janet tells Hank that he can't use his Pym particles here because it does weird things with the body and the heart. But first off, I still need an answer as to why Hank can use the particles again. I remember I was reading, I think it was maybe an early 90s, mid-90s Avengers, where it was a big thing that Hank couldn't, actually it might have been West Coast Avengers, where he couldn't use Pym particles because it made his body too unstable. And I want to know at what point did that happen. And then there's also a touching moment in here where Hank and Janet kind of have a weird little moment, but does Janet just forget that Hank just beat her up? Like, he used to hit her all the time. And I mean, that's not brought up as much, but that was a pivotal time in Avengers history. But they're eventually captured by this Lord Guzar, and Iron Man, obviously being the intelligent bastard that he is, gets out. They make a break to escape. It doesn't show them escaping, but they make a break to escape. So I guess we'll see what's next. I think there's one more issue of this, so I don't know how much they're actually going to do. Dial H number 6. This book was a change up from the other ones. It seemed kind of a different. It took on a different momentum. It kind of was just. It was a feel good story rather than an action story, and it opens up and Nelson is this Indian type character named. It was a very racist character, Chief Wahoo or something along those lines. And Roxy says, "You can't go outside like this. It is racist. You're going to upset people." And he said, "Come on." And they're fighting about he wants to go out. And then Roxy gets a book and shows him how she used to chronicle some of the IDs she would take when she would dial. And she said that she stopped after a while, but she has a good bit of them in this book. And that's why she inhabited the role as Manthau or Mantau. I still don't know how to pronounce it. But that's why she wore the cloak, because she didn't want to be seen as some of these things. And he says, "Okay, that'll be fine. I don't have to go out, but if something happens, I'm going to go." So he watches the news, and there's this fire, but it was put out. And then, I guess, along with his character came a horse with wings, like a Pegasus. And there was like a robbery, and the horse stopped it, so he couldn't even leave the house. And then as soon as there's like some super hero or some super villain in a suit that's threatening, things, he goes to leave and his dial wears off. So then, she dials and then she says, I didn't yell because of the villain on the screen, I yelled because I found another dial. So now they won't have to share another dial if they can find it. I mean, it was a different aspect of the dialing and of the actual thought that goes behind not going out because you don't want to offend people. Animal Man number 14, The Rot World, Red Kingdom Part 2. I mean, this book was really good. This Rot World crossover is going to be great. I just can't wait until they finally meet. Like Animal Man and Swamp Thing are together in the book. But it opens up and Arcane has sent an army that's led by Felix Faust. And Animal Man and Orchid and who else is with him? Beast Boy and Steel. They pretty much destroy the army that they send. They're pretty much taking care of them. But then Faust says, "I'm not here to fight. Actually, I'm here to send a message that we have your daughter." And that's when Buddy gets all crazy and says, "Okay, then we need to go." So then they set off, and when they set up camp on their travel, they unknowingly set up in New Gorilla City. And obviously, if you hear Gorilla in the DC universe, you automatically think Gorilla Grodd. So he comes and he says, "Bow to them." And it also shows a little backstory, or a little flashback of when his daughter was running from the Rot originally and encounters William Arcane. So that's obviously how she was captured, but I wonder what kind of relationship is between them because they met. I think I'm going to stop this one here because I know the last other half of these, I guess I'm going to talk a decent amount about. So on to subscriptions talk, whatever number this is, 0.2. Actually, it would be 0.1. 0.1. Here come, all right. Definitely go, yeah.